Hi everyone, welcome to Honey Drops Tarot. Thank you so much for being here. This is a reading for the sign of Sagittarius, Sun, Moon, Rising, and Venus. Very happy to be here doing your reading, Sagittarius, as I am a Sagittarius rising, and I feel very strong affinity to Sagittarians. So I'm happy that you're here. Thank you for all of your likes, shares, and subscribes. I appreciate all of the feedback that you have given me so far. And I also just want to make a quick note. Please don't ever give your personal information to anyone that you don't trust. I will never solicit for personal readings. I do offer personal readings, and that information can be found below, but you're the one that's clicking first and reaching out to me, not the other way around. So I just want to make sure that you always keep yourself safe, because there are a lot of scammers out there. So I'm going to be doing your reading today with the Tarot of Mystical Moments. Sorry, I just blanked for a second. The Tarot of Mystical Moments and the Oracle card will be from the Wild Unknown Archetypes deck. So cards have been pre-shuffled, so I'm just going to shuffle now for the cards to flip out. 5 cards spread, 5 cards to clarify. I hope everybody is doing well and that you are riding the wave of Leo season, which is always a really good time for us to be kind of out in the public eye, really dominating the scene, being at ease with ourselves, expressing ourselves. Leo is very kind of outward energy. So let's get started. With the past position, you have the Queen of Pentacles in the reverse, clarified by a 6 of Pentacles. So your past position might have seen you kind of really focused on your material world, your job or your finances or opportunities that may not have panned out, is what I wanted to say. Even with the Queen card here, and Queen energy is very powerful because it suggests a certain level of mastery. In the court cards of tarot, we have Page, Knight, Queen, and King. So by the time we get to the Queen of any suit, she knows who she is. She's pretty established in her status. But the Queen of Pentacles in the upright is somebody who is very abundant. Sorry, I have a frog in my throat. Maybe this is something that's really hard for you to talk about, that I don't know, certain financial goals you're hoping will still come through for you. With this, the 6 of Pentacles in the upright, this is a card of everyone getting their fair share. There's a balance required here, and often people see that third party as spirit, kind of say, I'm going to pour into your cup, I'm going to pour into your cup, right? So it just seems as if Spirit is really bringing up the fact that you're looking, or you were looking forward to having someone meet you halfway. Perhaps it was like a project or just some kind of endeavor that you had in mind that didn't really go as far as you wanted it to go. And so you might be questioning that right now. Well, who got my share? Right? So if you apply to a job, and you know, I always hope that you get the job that you want and the job that is for your best and highest good. But if you didn't get it, maybe you're wondering who did, right? It's not an easy energy. I don't feel ease around it. And so now we're in the present energy where you have the 3 of Pentacles, wanting to collaborate, wanting to join a team. Now we have 3 Pentacles cards for a fire sign, right? So that's significant to me as a reader when the the sign that is your element doesn't show up, right? Haven't had any wands yet. But it is clarified by the Emperor in reverse. So the Emperor is one of the most powerful major arcana cards in the tarot. He represents divine masculine energy, though it has nothing to do with gender. Like I can be in my Emperor energy, you can be in your Emperor energy, right? It just simply means a character or a figurehead, a representation of power, CEO energy, boss energy, taking charge energy, and you have it in reverse clarifying this. So it's almost like you are now in the present moment just really, really, really trying your best to be a team player, to add and contribute to the greater good. I don't know if somebody doesn't want to talk about it, because I feel very like a frog in my throat. And you know, I could be just talking to my friends or whatever. I won't get this frog in my throat. So when it happens during a reading, I feel as though there's somebody trying to, and not consciously, I should hope not, but just holding back, like not wanting, like, oh, it's, do we have to talk about this? Well, I mean, Spirit kind of wants to talk about it, so we're going to talk about it. And the fact that you feel a little, you might feel a little powerless, but the Emperor did show up in the first place. So it's kind of like you can regain that power again. It's a mind game. It's all about like the power that is imbued within your mindset. And that's a very strong message that Spirit wants me to remind you of. As long as you have that confidence in your heart and in your mind to know that you will rise above this temporary frustration. It's a temporary frustration. The point is that you are collaborating. What I just heard, however, is, do you want to continue collaborating? That's up to you to decide. Maybe you're rethinking a certain connection that you have. Maybe it's not working out for you anymore, and that's okay. Change is good. Change is good, and especially if it's on our own terms and we have choice about it. It's when we stop having choices that we actually are quite stifled, right? So in the future energy, you have the Page of Pentacles, clarified by the King of Swords. That is true mastery. King of Swords is someone who has mastered the mind space, who has done the research, who has collected the data, who has thought through every eventuality. So if it's you putting together like a business plan or some kind of plan, maybe it doesn't have to be a business plan, it could be just a future plan for yourself. It starts, it's like the journey of 1,000 miles starts with a single step. This King of Swords is clarifying this Page of Pentacles. It's almost like I'm seeing an up-leveling, like you're going to go from this space to this space, where pages, right, they're beginners, beginner's mind, students in their suit. So just making, like maybe you invite somebody to coffee. Let's just say it's a business venture. Maybe you're going to decide, I'm going to reach out to a former colleague and ask them to have lunch with me, and then pick their brain about every single thing they know. I'm going to ask them about their expertise. And if there's anything we've learned in life, it's that people, for the most part, like to talk about themselves, and they like to be seen, they like to be heard. Right, Sagittarius? It's not about like, oh, look at me, look at me. But if you, just imagine it. Just imagine if one of your former co-workers or employees or childhood schoolmates texted you or emailed you out of the blue and said, you know what, Sag, I've just admired like how you handled this, and this, and I've seen your career on the rise, and would you mind just having like lunch with me sometime next week? Because I feel a little stuck and I just want to pick your brain, and I just feel like you're like an expert in this, and that would be really helpful for me. I mean, you might feel a little like, me? Why are they asking me? But it would be very flattering, wouldn't it? That someone would look to you as the expert, right? So there's somebody in your life that you see as somebody who might know more than you. And no, it's hard to believe. As a Sag rising, I feel that. But there's always going to be somebody that does it better, does it faster, does it more efficiently. And it's not to say that we're less than, it's just to say that they're more experienced. Let's reach out to those people. Let's learn from them. Let's plant our seeds so that we then can become the masters, that we can show in an exemplary way how it's done. This is what I see in your future energy. It's such a different energy from what was going on before, where you were feeling a little lacking. Now we're kind of, I feel like it's shifting the tides just a little bit. Just a little bit. In the advice from Spirit, we have the Death card in reverse and the Nine of Cups in reverse. So I'm just going to cover this up a little bit. Death card in the upright, just because YouTube has all sorts of rules, and I'm so new to YouTube and I don't know what they are yet, so we'll just do this. Just imagine everything laid out on the table. Vulnerability is the theme of this card, especially this one. But the Death card is Major Arcana. You already had one Major Arcana with the Emperor. Anytime I say Major Arcana, I'm just referring to very strong hand from Spirit, very strong energy coming from them, that they're sort of helping to orchestrate the situation. And in your advice from Spirit, the advice column, the Death card is in reverse. Normally this card in the upright would represent ending a cycle to begin again, like death and rebirth. It's the cycle that you're closing out something that might be toxic or just not for your best and highest good, or it's just not fruitful anymore. And that can be a painful process, you know. It's like, it's not, I don't want to say it's as far as admitting defeat. Never. We'll never admit defeat. But we can admit that we can streamline our processes. We can hone in and capitalize on our strengths. What other words that can I use to? We can allow ourselves to be in a space of vulnerability in the name of growth. With the Nine of Cups in reverse, I'm not a big fan of the Nine of Cups, even though in the upright it represents self-satisfaction. It does represent abundance, emotional abundance, as it is a Cups card, love and family, wish fulfillment. So it's great. It's great. But this card is in reverse for you right now, and I think it's because, from what I know of Sun Sagittarians, where Saggies are the sun sign at least, they're not going to be satisfied with mediocre. That's not how Sagittarians roll. It's fine for now. That's what I wanted to say. It's fine for now. But somebody who is in reverse Nine of Cups, perhaps it's because you know they're 10. They're 10 cups out there somewhere. 10 cups represents bliss, fulfillment in every way, joy, contentment, but to another level. It's becoming like kind of golden hour right now where I am. And I want to say golden hour. It's like it's golden time, 10 of Cups. There's some part of you that knows you don't want to settle. But in order to move past the 9 of Cups to get to where you want to be, there is a cycle, and I want to say that it is mental / emotional. It's not a cycle of, you know, obviously our mental, emotional affects our behavior out in the world, but it's what this issue is starts inside here. It's not an external force. It's not like, oh, that person didn't give me the job, or they're not, you know, they're not loving me in the way that I deserve, or nothing. It's not anybody else. It's on you. The onus is on you right now. In terms of advice from Spirit, Spirit is telling you that there needs to be a mindset shift in you first, because you're little slightly, ever so slightly in lack mentality. And I hate to admit it, but I'm in this energy too. So I'm not immune to it. But trying to turn it around, right? You can feel that way, but just keep trucking. It's just like plow through it. Plow through it and get past it. So how do you see yourself right now? Well, this kind of makes sense. Page of Wands in the reverse. This is the card I call Little Darwin. Page of Wands in the upright talks about going out on a new adventure. Kind of recapturing, you know, when you were a little kid and you didn't have a filter, the filter of adulthood. You didn't have bills to pay. You know, I hope that you didn't have a very terrible childhood, but, you know, I'm just making an assumption about some childhoods that we're just playing outside and that's our only worry, and maybe doing homework every once in a while if we feel like it. That carefree feeling, the feeling of not having responsibility, and then not being afraid to explore things that an adult might say, well, I could never do that. I would never do that. I mean, where does that come from as adults when we tell ourselves we can't do something? I constantly meditate and question that. Like, why do I keep telling myself no? Right? So this is almost like, why do you keep telling yourself no? Because it's clarified by this. This is what you know you actually are, King of Pentacles. Like, sitting pretty. The Stag in Earth Sign Tarot cards. It's such a beautiful spiritual representation of abundance and strength and divine masculine energy. Like, look at how powerful. Like, he's so much larger than the dude. Right? But then he's so small, but it's like he still has mastery over this. I don't want to call Stag a beast. This beautiful animal. These coins here, it's King of Pentacles is abundant financially and in the material world in some way. So it's almost like saying, in the way that you feel about yourself, it's like, I'm hearing the words like, I feel like I'm crawling. I'm crawling before I can walk. I'm crawling before I can walk. But I know that this is what I'm capable of. I know this is the energy I embody in certain circles. So maybe let's reverse it. Maybe you are king of the hill at your job, but in your family, you're like the youngest kid, or you're the kid that nobody listens to, or whatever it is, right? Like you're king of the hill in one respect, and you're just kind of put in the corner in another. So you know what your true potential is, and Spirit is asking you to tap into that. Well, how do we do that? Right? It's like asking yourself the hard questions. So there was this exercise that a boss of mine did once, and she said, ask yourself, or write down something that you fear, and then ask yourself why 5 to 10 times. So you could say, okay, well, what do you fear? I might say tornadoes, because they're scary. One should fear that. Well, why? Why do you fear that? Well, because it could cause a lot of death and destruction. Well, why does that matter? Well, because I care about people and I don't want anything bad to happen to them. Why? Well, because I'm connected to them and I love them. You know, it gets very frustrating the more whys you ask, but it gets you, it like pinpoints you right down to the very heart of your fear. It's a very infuriating exercise, but it works. So kind of ask yourself the hard questions right now. And don't be afraid of what the answers are, right? It's just, you don't have to share it with anybody. It's just between you and you. But I think things will become illuminated for you if you give them that chance. So that's your reading, Sag. I'm gonna pull, look at this, Sag. Of course you would get this card. This is probably the most whimsical card in this entire deck. All the cards in this deck are kind of moody and brooding. This card is just like, this card is just so Sagittarius energy. I'm so happy right now that Spirit does this, because like, look at it. What's happening with this card? Like, I'm just going to show you like an example of like some of the cards that are in the deck. Like, look at this one. Like this one and this. Like, yeah. A cat with a birthday sprinkle hat on. It's number 26. Okay. And I love it. I think it's so funny. I think it's so appropriate. Because it's almost like, remember, like, let's get back to Sag energy. Let's get back to ourselves. The Joker, the Clown, the Fool. The comic carries a remedy for all that ails this world. Amid the deepest pain and suffering, there is always the potential to lift up and out of the darkness through laughter. Though dismissed by some as lowbrow or unsophisticated, this archetype actually has a highly advanced mind. Some may use the word genius, Sag, as humor requires one to see the situation from afar rather than to be swept away by the drama. The comic sees and accepts the messiness of life, using it as material to be mixed and shaped into a potion to soothe the stressed and the serious mind. They literally lighten us up. Thus, within the comic is usually the sage. Sagittarius, the sage. What? Or the magician, working healing magic upon any audience who will lend an ear. The comic may be the archetype that heals the deep division in our world, one pun at a time. Can't make this up. That description called you out. Maybe the key to advancing in whatever endeavor that you want to advance in requires your lightheartedness, your high vibration, your laughter, your joy. Remember what that is. Get back to that, Sag. Thank you so much for being here. That's your reading. Please like, share, or subscribe. Comment if you so desire. I do appreciate it, and I appreciate you. I wish you well. Bye, Sag.